Hello and welcome to NABJ TV. I'm Jeanette Reyes.
And I'm Derek Q. Lewis. Vice President Joe Biden received a warm welcome from NABJ members.
But as NABJ TV's Fadia Patterson tells us, it didn't take Biden long to get down to politics. She's in the studio now with the story.
That's right, Jeanette. Biden stressed keeping the current administration in office is what America needs now to grow the economy.
Be careful. Microphones are always hot. And understand that in Washington, D.C., a gaffe is when you tell the truth, so be careful.
Vice President Joe Biden started with lighthearted words for journalists at the NABJ opening ceremony, but he also had a serious message, the future of our country.
It's also about how we treat one another, our social policy. It's about what kind of country we're going to leave our kids.
Reaction from the crowd was mixed.
I generally agree with what he says, you know, when he said that when the middle class does well, the poor have a shot and the wealthy will do well.
When he kept referring back to his childhood and how his dad did everything he could for the family and things like that, I thought that was really touching. And not a lot of politicians have stories like that where you can relate to the person that you want their vote, and I thought that that was great.
You figure you're hearing the same sort of political points being made over and over again.
Whether the vice president delivered a message strong enough to keep the current administration in the White House, we'll find out on Election Day in 6 months. NABJ also invited Republican challenger Mitt Romney, but he declined because of scheduling conflicts. Now back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Fadia. And President Barack Obama addressed the NABJ group during the annual convention in 2009 in Las Vegas.
For the first time, George Zimmerman is heard giving his account to Sanford police detectives about his altercation with Trayvon Martin. Martin's parents were at the NABJ convention in New Orleans Thursday. NABJ reporter Shaquille Brewster has his story.
If they want justice for their child, they want the killer of their teenage unarmed child to be held accountable.
With new information developing in the Trayvon Martin case, the Martin family, along with their attorney, opened up to reporters after speaking to NABJ Thursday morning.
This was our life. You know, this was my son. This was just not a news story and tomorrow is gone. I have to live with this the rest of my life.
But as the family continues to mourn, the focus quickly turned to recent media coverage.
But it was some things that I heard about my son that just were not true, and that hurt me a great deal because he was still a minor, and it bothered me.
Why is it when our kids get killed, you know, that they have to be put on trial? Right. Why is it that they have to be some type of criminal?
One of NABJ's guest panelists, Reverend Al Sharpton, defended his coverage of the Martin case. He has been criticized for blurring the lines between journalism and activism.
Well, the media reacted to action. Let's not act like the media did the Martin family a favor. When we came in and put 30,000 people in Sanford, the media covered 30,000 people. The media didn't put them there.
Some conference attendees say they walked away from today's forum with a personal connection.
We are responsible for covering these stories. If no one else, if no one else will, we need to.
The mother seemed to still be going through it, so to get that emotional testimony from her was really powerful. As a student journalist, those are the moments that we really look for.
But at the end of the day, Martin's mother says it's all in the name of her son.
We had to be the spokesperson for our son. This is us showing him love.
George Zimmerman is charged with second-degree murder in Trayvon Martin's February 26 shooting death. He was released from jail in April, but has since returned after having his bond revoked. His next court date is scheduled for June 29th.
Hotel management is finally speaking out about what caused Wednesday's check-in confusion. NABJ TV's Rahel Solomon has the story.
24 hours after hundreds of NABJers had problems checking in the Hilton Hotel, the general manager says it was a computer glitch that caused the check-in problems.
What we had is a situation where we were doing what was supposed to be routine maintenance with our system the night before arrival.
Sawyers tells NABJ TV the hotel's Internet Technology Department did not anticipate the computer system would stop working during maintenance and didn't expect it to last so long. Sawyers calls it one of the worst days in his 27-year hospitality career.
Moving forward, I think as a corporation, we will be a lot more judicious in when we will schedule maintenance, especially with a group as high profile and as important to us as NABJ.
The hotel issued an apology letter to NABJ guests and called the incident unusual. NABJ member Keon Grissom received the apology letter, but contends the hotel should have been more prepared.
Kind of feel like it was a little bit unprofessional of how they handled the situation. I just feel like they needed to be better prepared for this type of technical difficulties.
If you were one of the hundreds impacted by Wednesday's check-in fiasco, hotel management says they are offering complimentary internet access or access to the gyms.
It simply was an unacceptable risk, and that has reached the highest levels of our corporation.
It's an experience that hotel management and those who were affected will likely remember for a while to come. Reporting for NABJ TV, I'm Rahel Solomon.
Sawyers also say guests not interested in the complimentary internet or gym access can receive instead a $10 voucher to the cafe located across the front desk.
The NABJ Career Fair kicked off on Thursday at the host hotel for members looking for career moves. Recruiters from major media companies and colleges were present at the fair. Professional and student journalists came out to exchange contact information with potential employers. The career fair will run until 5 p.m. on Friday and reopen at 9 a.m. on Saturday until 12 noon. The Times-Picayune newspaper cuts back to expand into the digital age. NABJ's TV, Tony Evans has a report.
The city of New Orleans will soon see daily prints of its only newspaper reduced to just 3 days a week. 200 employees were laid off last week from the Times-Picayune.
I think it's just an example of what has been happening in general in the world of media and journalism.
New Orleans residents will witness more empty newspaper boxes like this one. The Times-Picayune plans to focus less on filling up these boxes and more attention to their online content.
Again, with the new wave, you knew, okay, this is going to happen. Now we've just learned who it is that's being laid off.
A reduction in prints will also mean a reduction in jobs. And with the recent cutbacks in newspaper companies around the country, including the Times-Picayune right down here in New Orleans, some say that the laid-off employees should take advantage of possible job opportunities right here at the NABJ convention. WGNO digital journalist Sandra Gonzalez is one of many experienced news gatherers who works alone. This allows her to have more control over her work.
I know my video, I know my focus, and it's all like my masterpiece or my artwork at the end of the day.
Many journalists agree in order to survive in today's media industry, they have to be skillful in more than one area of journalism.
I'll pick up the camera, I'll learn it. This is fun. I love it. It's like a paintbrush. So you learn new skills, you talk to other photographers.
Reporting for NABJ TV, I'm Tony Evans.
NABJ gave free passes to all Times-Picayune employees who were laid off. It's a temporary solution to their unemployment woes.
And it's a time to network and an opportunity to meet old friends, but the NABJ convention for New Orleans is a moneymaker. The New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau estimates the 3 to 4 day convention to bring in $3.6 million for the city. Conventions and tourism drive this city's economy and creates jobs. The Visitors Bureau has estimated 3,100 attendees, but NABJ President Greg Lee says between 2,000 and 2,500 members had registered.
It was a day of cheers and tears inside the Moriel Convention Center as a New Orleans preacher from the Lower Ninth Ward broke ground, changing the complexion of leadership within the Southern Baptist Convention. On Tuesday, Pastor Fred Luter of Franklin Avenue Baptist Church in Gentilly became the first African-American president of the predominantly white 16 million member Southern Baptist Convention. Luter ran unopposed and was overcome emotion as the announcement was made, quoting a scripture and fighting back tears. Luter gave thanks to God and later stated that the doors of the SBC are now open to all ethnic groups.
I am Exhibit A that this convention is serious about saying that our doors are open to everyone. So I hope to be a spokesperson to that, because let's face it, there are some maybe African Americans, maybe Hispanic Asians who for years felt that they were they were not welcome in the Southern Baptist Convention, but that's not the case anymore. And I'm Exhibit A to prove it.
The Southern Baptist Convention was formed back in 1845 when the issue of slavery split the nation's Baptist churches. In 1995, the SBC issued a formal apology for its stance on slavery.
All right, after the break, we'll hear heartwarming moments from close friends of broadcast veteran John Beans.
And Hurricane Katrina destroyed his home, and he escaped with only the clothes on his back. But today, he's found a new home at the Upper 9th Ward. We'll explain.
And how Grammy Award-winning artist Melanie Fiona wooed and helped welcome NABJ members to the Big Easy.
If you thought Walt Disney World Resort was just for kids, think again. Nope, it's not just for kids, but for kids at heart as well. Visit MyDisneyDiscovery.com to learn more.
The 32 Highway MPG GMC Terrain.
Call Dave.
This is Dave.
Hey, just got off work. The conditions are looking pretty good.
With a navigation system that never stops navigating, Bluetooth connectivity, and the quiet that can only come from active noise cancellation. The only thing more amazing than the GMC Terrain's technology is what you can do with it. The 2012 Terrain from GMC.
Welcome back. Veteran broadcaster and longtime NABJ member John Beans passed away June 13th. Today I spoke to those who were close to him. Here's what they had to say. John Beans is fondly remembered by friends and coworkers. How did you take the news when they told you that John had passed away?
Oh God, I was just so sad. You know, I mean, he was such a good person, and you know, to see somebody go through that and, you know, still not be able to, you know, make it in the end was very tough to take.
Ken Smith is a former coworker of Beans. He'll tell you Beans was a dedicated person, a role model, a mentor. What made him so memorable?
His attention to detail, and that's an attribute that every journalist needs.
Friends say he was a fun guy. Beans, who mentored so many NABJ students, would finish off convention week in an interesting but memorable way.
Every year at the end of the project, the television team would get together and they would actually sing. They were so happy. You know, there would always be this little performance at the end of the student project.
Beans was a respected journalist. His work, his family, and the journalists he inspired will continue to tell stories about him.
His presence is still being felt here this week because we remember him. We remember how much we love him.
John Beans died at the age of 50 of sickle cell disease. And you may have noticed NABJ TV was off the air for about 30 minutes today. The Hilton requires that all broadcasts are reviewed by hotel management before air. The Hilton New Orleans Riverside General Manager Fred Sawyer says that our broadcast was not seen by hotel management until this morning, and it was only a matter of procedure spelled out in the contractual agreements.
The New Orleans mission was close to getting shut down before getting a last-minute say from the federal government. The mission is now armed with new money and a new director who says he's in a unique direction to lead them. It's been 2 weeks on the job for David Bodner, and he says he knows he's in the right place because God told him so.
He said, wait. So I waited for about 6 months, and then the Lord just opened this opportunity to me, and so I'm walking in it now.
Here is the place where David was called, the New Orleans mission, serving at least 200 people a day. But it was almost shut down due to lack of funding. But David is used to new beginnings.
Drugs and alcohol were a big part of their lifestyle growing up, so I saw it as a kid pretty predominantly. So it was readily used even in the house.
The mission serves food, offers shelter, counseling, and spiritual guidance to help heal broken men. Because David says he's been broken too.
Cocaine was a big part of my life. Alcohol, but there wasn't much that I wouldn't try. Ecstasy was something that I dabbled with.
David says God turned his life around, and he can do the same for these men.
It helps me to have a responsibility. It helps me to stay focused and have stability.
And addiction is not all that these men are struggling with.
But there's 25 to 30% of these people that, just like many Americans, have lost their house due to a job closure, or in this area because of Hurricane Katrina, they lost their job, they lost their house, they lost everything, and they were never able to regain hope for a future.
David was a successful businessman with multiple homes and cars. He gave up everything for his work with the mission for only $1 a year.
One neighborhood in New Orleans is using music to revitalize the area.
NABJ TV reporter Avery Harper has the story.
We're talking about Musicians Village in the Upper 9th Ward, a neighborhood that has given homes to musicians and fostered a community that embraces New Orleans culture and music. Take a look.
All I had was my trumpet, my laptop, and some underwear.
Troy Sawyer didn't take much when he evacuated New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. But the trumpeter has found so much more at his new home in Musicians Village. Now, he's a homeowner in the Upper 9th Ward's Musicians Village, created by New Orleans natives and jazz musicians Branford Marsalis and Harry Connick Jr. They partnered with Habitat for Humanity. In 2006, the community of mostly musicians opened its gates to first-time homeowners. There are homes in New Orleans that are still in ruins, but Troy Sawyer is one of 72 homeowners that live in homes like this one. The Ellis Marsalis Center for Music opened with practice space for musicians and after-school programming for children. Executive Director Michelle Jean-Pierre says,
because of the location of the village and the construction, I think it really helped bring infrastructure back to the Upper 9th Ward.
Music is at the core of the community, but it's not all it does. Its residents are just like Troy Sawyer, using music to strengthen a once broken neighborhood.
It has given me the faith and the tools to use to give back.
Many saw Troy Sawyer perform at NABJ's Chapter Party Conference at Jackson Brewery Bistro Bar. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Avery. What a great story.
After a stressful check-in and an address from Vice President Joe Biden, NABJ convention goers were in for a treat at Wednesday night's welcome reception and concert. R&B songstress Melanie Fiona serenaded NABJ convention goers. The NABJ Network's centric artist gave an electric performance complete with a live band. Convention goers sang along with the starlet, snapping photos and video. Melanie Fiona spoke on the importance of coming to NABJ.
I wouldn't be half where I am if it wasn't for the writers and the journalists who report about me, write reviews, listen to my music, and feel moved to talk about me and what I do.
This is Melanie Fiona's second NABJ event. She also performed at the NYABJ last month in New York.
Summer began this week, and a New Orleans judge has declared a heat wave in the state of Louisiana.
We have Tony Evans with our look at weather.
You got that right. Summer has begun, but first let's talk about these tropics down here. We have an area of low pressure. It's pretty high risk right now. We're going to continue to watch it, as well as these hot, very hot Gulf water temperatures. We have temperatures ranging from 85 degrees all the way down to 80 degrees up near Central Florida as well. Now, as we continue to watch Friday, we have this area of low pressure above Miami near Central Florida. It will continue to move northward towards Jacksonville and New Orleans. We're going to have to watch out for that. We're not sure where it's going to go, though. It may go to the west or the east, depending on where the winds are. Also, as it continues towards Houston, it may bring some precipitation that way as well. Now, these strong east winds are moving these small pockets of storms across the Gulf. No worries about that either. However, we do have a coastal flood advisory. We have 1 foot above normal levels. You want to watch out for that if you're along the coast. First day of summer, we have temperatures that were in the 90s most of today as well. We had 83 in Slidell. We had 83 over in Grand Isle. Now, as we continue to look at our lows, New Orleans 75 degrees, 71 in Gulfport, Mississippi. Now, our highs for tomorrow, 90s. I mean, it's summer. What else can we expect? As we look at our Friday planner, 8 in the morning, 82 degrees. By 3 p.m., we'll have a slight chance of rain with 91 degrees. Now, if you're going to wake up on Saturday morning and cut the grass, you may want to get up earlier than 8 o'clock. It's going to be pretty hot. By early afternoon, we'll have a 20% chance of rain, 91 degrees. Now, on coastal forecast, seas will be pretty high tomorrow. You may want to watch out if you're on a small vessel because it could get a little dangerous out there. Now, our weekend planner, 90s, breezy, slight chances of rain through next week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Tony. Still to come, the latest on the Drew Brees' contract negotiations. NABJ TV's Shaquille Brewster has the latest. Crescent City Sports next.
Lose track of the everyday and pursue your own paradise. Put ordinary behind you and see fantasy all around. Lose the boundaries and let time move at your pace. Whatever your dream is, you'll find it here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. You Unscripted.
When BP made a commitment to the Gulf, we were determined to see it through. Here's an update on the progress. We're paying for all spill-related cleanup costs. BP funding supports independent scientists studying the Gulf's environment. Thousands of environmental samples have been tested, and all beaches and waters are open. And the tourists are back. I was born here. I'm still here, and so is BP.
So Shaquille, will Drew Brees be getting a contract anytime soon?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you. You know, yet another day has gone by and still no long-term agreement has been made between the New Orleans Saints and quarterback Drew Brees. There has also been progress in weeks between the two sides, despite reports that they are just $2 million apart. Chump change. ESPN anchor and longtime Saint fan Stan Verrett weighs in on the surprising holdout.
I'm pretty surprised at that because I thought it would be a no-brainer. But at the same time, if you look at it, there's leverage on both sides. I think it's only a matter of time before they get it done. But as a Saints fan, let's get it done.
Steam is building for the college football BCS system to become extinct. A playoff format could be in place by 2014. Commissioners from the 6 current BCS conferences worked together today to finalize a proposal that would create a Final Four bracket to compete for a national championship.
So we have a consensus on a model, and then we'll present that model with the caveats that Jim just outlined. There are still some issues to be resolved, but it's really clear that we can get to those decisions, but it's not appropriate at this point to talk about some of those issues until we've had a chance to talk with our athletic directors and our presidents.
And the King may finally get his first crown. LeBron James is just one finals victory away from winning his first title. It's taken the 3-time MVP 9 years to get within a game of clinching a championship. James is averaging 29 points per game in this year's finals. That's up 19 points per game in his previous 2 final appearances. However, the Heat got a scare in Game 4 during the final minutes where James suffered multiple leg cramps. It would be easy for the Heat to take their foot off the gas a little and rest James for tonight's possible game elimination game. But James certainly sounds like he'll be on the court for tonight's Game 5.
Game 5 is a Game 7 for us. You know, and it's a must-win for them, but it's a must-win for us too. You know, and as a leader of the team, I will approach it that way, and you know, hopefully I don't have to be dealing with cramps. You know, I'm the leader of this team, and I'm not comfortable right now. I'm comfortable in my game, but I'm not going to be comfortable until we seal this thing.
And I can tell you, I've been watching Oklahoma City for a long time now, and whenever they're down, they're never really out. So you may be surprised tonight.
That's for sure. Thanks, Shaquille. For 22 years, the NABJ Student Multimedia has developed young black journalists.
That's right. At this year's convention in New Orleans, some NABJ babies shared how the experience has impacted their lives and careers. Here's NABJ's Fadia Patterson with the story.
The project was the student project, and I was broadcast journalism major, so I specifically worked with the students who wanted to go into journalism after they graduated college. At that time, there was also a radio project and a television project. It was significant because for me, I'd never been exposed to anything like that, and I was surrounded with other like-minded students, and it was just really a wonderful, tremendous opportunity. Everyone worked really hard, and we just wanted to learn. We just wanted to soak in everything.
I did a story about hair in 2006, and Denise James was one of the mentors. That story did not see the light of day. I loved it, and my reporting, I guess, wasn't balanced in that story, and you know, she kind of cut it up and tore me up, and that thickened my skin, so to speak. And it's taught me when you are reporting and doing your storytelling, you need to get both sides of the story. So that was a tough critique. And there have been times where I thought a story was great, and Denise or Greg can look at it and say, oh, this can be done better. I would have done it like this, and here's why. And when they explain how they would have done the story, it makes more sense.
Thank you for joining us.
We would like to thank all of our mentors and volunteers that helped put together our newscast this week.
Watch more of our news on our webcast at nabjconvention.org.
The Africa Channel, showcasing the best entertainment and information programming about Africa and the diaspora. Expand your world with a daily window into modern Africa.
I'm hanging at the place where they make chapati, which looks like a pancake, but I'll tell you one thing, it's yummy.
I can go around the world telling people how awesome South Africa is.
For full city listings, go to theafricachannel.com. The Africa Channel, where Africa comes alive.